Hi, guys, and welcome back to Bachelor Buzz, the best place to come for recaps on your favorite reality TV dating show and the latest in Bachelor Nation news. We're your hosts, Arena.
And Julia. And today we are doing a bonus episode. It's like a mini,
Woo!
just a little shorty. And it is a quick recap, kind of summary, just kind of our thoughts and reactions to the Call Her Daddy interview with Rachel Kirkconnell
Mm-hmm.
after her breakup with our past season lead, Matt James. So
Mm-hmm.
we were heartbroken to hear about it. And I think today we're just going to kind of recap their history a little bit and then talk about what we heard on the podcast and our thoughts.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so Matt James was the Bachelor back during COVID. His season was filmed at a hotel in Pennsylvania. He had
yep.
never been on the show before,
His best friend
which
was Tyler Cameron from Hannah Brown's
exactly.
season.
They met in college at Wake Forest, and that is how Matt James kind of got into the whole Bachelor atmosphere or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be on Claire Crawley's season, but because he ended up being chosen to go on to be a bachelor, uh, he was removed from that season. And he also became the bachelor after the things that happened with George Floyd being murdered and other things that were going on during that time, Black Lives Matter,
Yeah.
in 2020. So he kind of came along when the Bachelor franchise was like, oh snap, we
We
need
really
to
needed
show
him.
that we
Yeah.
exactly, we
They
need
needed
him more than he
him.
needs us.
Yeah. And he
um,
was the first Black Bachelor.
yes, the very
So,
first Black Bachelor after the show had been on for at that point 19 years.
yes.
So, so
Yeah.
we have, he was on the show, and that is where he met Rachel Kirkconnell. She came on. She actually didn't have a one-on-one, I think, until like the fifth episode.
Yes. She was
Yeah.
like the last one to get
She was
one.
one of the last, which, you know what? Sometimes I think that happens when it's a relationship that's long lasting with like a bachelor, bachelorette, because like they feel
Yeah.
so confident in that
Yes. It's
connection
like
that
the
they,
connection's strong enough. They don't need
yes,
extra time. But
exactly.
of course, the from the perspective of the contestant, they're like, why am I still here? Am I just
Hmm.
here? Like, why? But then she would like in the interview, she said how like every time they spoke, it was just so easy. She just knew they had a connection. So
Yeah, so she was
um
confident in that.
mhm.
And they ended up getting together, and at the end of his season, she was the one who he chose. However, he chose not to propose to her, and
Yes.
she did talk about that during this pod episode, Call Her
Hmm.
Daddy, where she said that, of course, if he had proposed, she would have said yes. But she also understands that, like in the real world, you date, for a couple of years before you're
Yeah.
proposing. Not
She
always, but
felt, yeah, like she said in the interview, like it seemed very natural. She actually took it as a positive. Like
yeah.
he's got such a level head. Like this is an actual relationship, not something for TV,
Yeah.
not something just to get married.
Mhm.
This is going to be more long lasting. And like, I mean, I totally get that. I mean, especially during COVID, like
Yes.
people's like I think that people at that time were like so much more focused on like just building relationships again.
Hmm.
um so I get that. And they were young. She was like 23, 24 at the time.
So young.
Now she's 28.
Yeah.
So we'll talk more on that. But yeah, she ended up with the final rose.
Hmm.
She did know that he wasn't going to propose. She said that on Call Her Daddy. Like they talked about it. What else did she say? She said the production team was pissed.
Oh yeah, it was so funny. They started like breaking down the set when they weren't even
They were
finished, and it
like,
was
okay, it's over.
they're probably like, didn't turn out how we wanted it. Let's just start
I
breaking it
know.
down now.
Yeah, really. Love is dead.
Who cares? On to the next. Who's our next
I
bachelor?
know. But like,
TV
I don't
guys.
know. It was awkward that she didn't get it. Like I remember watching and just being like, oh my God, he's not ready.
Yeah,
You
he's
just
like,
know. Sometimes you just know. But the thing is that he did not come on being like, oh my God, I want to get married. It was like, hey, you want to do it? All right.
yep,
Tyler Cameron said no. So you're pretty hot,
you're his
you
black
know?
man. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know that's
So
what.
yeah, like that was
Mm,
just definitely kind of
mhm.
it was a little disappointing, I remember. But I also remember literally like the first night on his season, I was like, that girl's so pretty. I really thought she was the most beautiful one. I was like, oh my gosh, he likes her. Like she's gonna go far. And she did. But
Yeah.
it's just so interesting to hear how she talks about it.
Yes.
Like she did not apply herself, her friends did. And like the way she talks about it, like she said things like, I was so surprised they kept wanting me. I kept getting interviews. Like, I'm just like boring. Like, why? Who wants to watch me? And I was like, Rachel,
Mhm.
boring. She's so fun. Watching her now, like on social media, it's like we know, we've known her now
Mhm.
through media for a few years. And it's like, it
Mhm.
just makes me sad. Like, there's definitely some underlying insecurities at play here.
Yes,
So,
definitely. And I think that's part of what that dynamic became in their relationship
mhm.
because Matt James appears to be very confident about who he is and what he brings to the table and feels like, this is what I deserve and this is what I need and what I want and doesn't mince words, obviously, and we'll get to that. Maybe not the best with words and communicating with a lot of empathy.
Yeah.
And Rachel appears to be less confident and just puts him on a pedestal because the way she kept talking too and saying that, oh, like we would go out or something, or when he would travel and she'd be like, I bet there's someone, he's talking to someone right now, or,
Yeah.
he's so good looking. Like, and it's like, girl, you're really pretty. Do you get that? Do you
Yeah.
understand that it's more than just, oh, he picked me? It's like you chose him too because you're still with him, you're
Hmm.
still dating him. And I
Yeah.
think that it kind of presented itself as like the one person in the relationship had more power. And I don't think that was intentional. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that was like Matt James was like, oh, yes, I will have the power. That's just his personality. That's who he is. And then Rachel's
Yeah.
personality is, I don't want to say the opposite because I don't 100% know her. She has a great successful career. So she has some confidence there, at least in her
Yeah.
career, it seems. But it's just like, didn't
Yeah. But I
go.
think another reason why there was such like a power imbalance with them is because like he didn't propose and then he broke up with her on like basically on TV when the antebellum pictures came out and they
Yeah.
had that like I mean that's when Chris Harrison got canceled, right?
It wasn't because of that. It was more like the Rachel Lindsay
Oh yeah, yeah,
interview,
yeah.
but it was during that time.
Yeah, it was kind
And
of like one of the last straws.
it was like a multitude of things that they made missteps on and
Mhm.
totally screwed up in the Bachelor franchise, I think, during that time
Yeah.
period. And I also feel like, it sound like we also know that with the Bachelor producers, for example, with Jen's season, they want this stuff to play out on screen. So
Hmm.
I'm sure they were like, hey, you got to do this on screen. I don't know the
The
details about
worst.
this, but I would imagine they were like, yeah, break up with her on screen. Because, like, because I think before that, they were already not really together. They were kind of like still talking and everything when the show
Yeah.
was airing, but it was already shaky ground. They already weren't 100% where they were when the show ended. But they wanted him to do it on camera, do it at the end of the season so that people would be like, oh my gosh. And these are people's lives, just like we always talk about. It's not the best place to do that. And I personally don't like watching that because I don't want to see people hurt and in pain.
Yeah.
That's why would I want to see that?
Yeah,
Um,
she was really beat down by that. It
yeah.
was like, I can't be with someone like you. And she was like begging, it's just like, it was really hard to watch. And like, I think that just like when someone takes you back after that,
Mhm.
you feel like, wow, like, I am worthy. Like, it's just
Mhm.
sad. I think that that was a big like reason for their power struggle, like you said.
That was a
And
part of it for sure. And then also how they met. Because it's a
yeah.
different thing when it's like the lead and the contestant.
Yeah.
It's up
Right.
to the
Yeah. He was
lead.
always the lead. Yeah.
Yeah. It's up to the lead to really make their partner feel and understand that, you know what? I chose you because you are so amazing. You are this, you are that, and build them up because naturally, I think that person's going to think less in that relationship because it's like they were the one clamoring for them and trying to
Hmm.
like be with them. So
Agreed.
I think that's also part of it. And I also will say, like, with everything that happened with those antebellum photos that came out, and just how he must have felt and the fact that she said she can't really know what it was
Right.
like for him, and she said, he had a lot of people in his ears saying you shouldn't be with
Right.
her, like you shouldn't do this, and he must have felt a lot of pressure because he did, and they had their own conversations off screen. But I appreciate with her, and this is why I like her, she really put in the work to
She
educate herself after
did.
that,
Yeah.
and everyone should do that. Now obviously it's like
Yeah.
you shouldn't really get a cookie. But I love that she did that. And that's why I
Yeah.
like her too, because
Yes.
she made it a point to be better. And there's
Yes.
some people that I feel like, not in Call Her Daddy, but I was listening to something else, and there were some people that were like saying in social media, like, well, that whole thing was messed up, and why would he like have broken up with her anyways? Obviously, like she wanted to be with him, and she's not racist at the time, but they don't know what happened. They
Yeah.
don't
And
know the
honestly, it's like he
details.
needs to protect his own sanity too.
Exactly.
And like, I
Yes.
never blamed him for breaking up with her. I just think that like how they reconciled and how
Mhm.
now look where we're at. Like hindsight's 2020. Part of me is like, y'all never should have gotten back together. Like I feel like it caused a subconscious rift, power
Mm.
imbalance,
Mm.
maybe her feeling he could drop her again at any moment. So she was
Mhm.
insecure. I just felt like there must be something more to it. But
Yeah.
again, she didn't really go into it on the
No.
podcast. This is just us kind of going
Or they,
deeper as we
yeah.
do.
And I don't feel
But
like, honestly, Call Her Daddy, like, she wanted to,
she
like,
didn't
I don't,
dwell on it.
yeah, they didn't really want to get into it, which, was their choice. But
Yeah.
that was interesting because I think it's a big part of it too.
I know. Yeah. I
So,
would on it. If she was on our podcast, we'd ask a little bit more
hey,
about
Rachel,
that. I know Rachel will come over. She's not under contract.
we're fans.
Um, but
But yeah,
yeah,
it was,
it's just sad to hear.
it
She's
is
so
sad.
pretty and so
It's so
cool. And
sad.
like,
It
and
truly
and
is.
then just hearing about their actual relationship, like,
Mhm.
I mean, again, I don't want to say like Matt James sucks, but like I certainly wouldn't want my friend dating him, hearing about all
Mm.
this.
Mm.
Like he apparently, he's like a foodie. He's a
Yeah.
food Instagrammer, which like amazing. I love his videos. I love their videos. I don't eat half of what he eats, but
Yeah.
I almost will because it looks so good the way they present it.
Uh-huh.
But something that I thought was very frustrating is that she said that, it's his like thing.
Hmm.
It's basically a huge reason he has any income.
Yeah.
Yet she's the one who chooses the
The
food
rest.
places and the
Yeah.
restaurants.
It's really
And
hard.
it's like that's her job. And she's stressed. He says, we'll eat anywhere, choose it. And then he gets mad at her if he doesn't like it. And I'm just like, what? Why are you in charge of that? I would have been like, okay, you don't like it, you choose it then. Or
Mhm.
like, sorry, I mean, I'm hungry. And she
Mhm.
basically said that everywhere they ate, they made a video.
Yeah.
Everything was content.
Yeah.
Everything they ate on these trips was content.
Mhm.
And I just find that really like not fun. It just seems like not fun. It seems stressful. And it just is upsetting to hear that that's like the dynamic they had. Like she would, and I've been there, we've all been there, where it's like, you maybe pick a restaurant or you want to do something, and then you get there and you're like, it's not even that cool.
Yeah.
Sorry. Um, like we've all been there, but to have that happen almost every time you eat, or maybe, I'm sure it didn't always happen like that, but it's like the chance of it, like that's like that would get to me, like being the person who chooses, and then he needs to base his livelihood, like
Mhm.
he needs to have good content. Like that's a lot of pressure
Well,
on
and
her.
see, you bring that up and it's like people tell you who they are. I mean, I'm not saying that's right. I'm not. Um, but it's like that was like 4 years of that.
Yeah.
And they just didn't mesh well. Because I think another person that um not everyone else, a lot of us I think would probably be in that situation where we might be like, okay, especially when you're younger and, like you said, she's 28 now, but she was
Hmm.
what, 23, 24 when they got together.
Yeah.
And I know I was different in a relationship when I was 23 and
Yeah.
24 than now being in my 30s, but I feel as though like I don't know. It's just there's different things that she mentioned that it was like, yeah, you guys just unfortunately didn't click. Obviously, that relationship was meant to be for a reason that they don't know at this point. That's how I always feel. It's like when things happen, it was meant to be
Hmm.
for some reason, and you may not
Yeah.
really see why that happened at the time, but eventually you'll understand what the point of that was or that dark period in your life. Like,
Yeah.
what was that for? And I feel like for this, and I'm not saying like it's a dark period, but I'm saying like understanding what the point of that was, but
Yeah.
it just seems like they just maybe they loved each other, which is beautiful, but they weren't the best for each other. And like
Yeah.
even when he told her that it's not her, like, and he didn't want to marry her, the way he said it was so
Ugh.
insensitive that
Seems a lot like it was her
he
from his perspective,
really,
you know?
yes, like it just, he really should
He's
have
like, you
put
have
it in a
qualities that I
different
don't want
way.
in a wife. And it's
Yes,
like,
how do you say that to someone? Like
or
that
how
is
about
so messed up.
we don't have qualities that I want?
Yes,
It's like, why put it on her
yes,
when she said that he had been singing her praises on
yes,
social media
yes,
to friends, to family for like a year or something? Like,
forever.
recent too. It's like
What?
recently he was saying things like,
Yeah.
oh, like pick out a ring,
What?
think about what you want to do. It's like, and they had not lived together, which
Yeah.
like I understand it. It's like he's religious. We know that
Mhm.
from his Instagram post about the breakup.
Mhm.
But like I really think you need to live with someone. I don't know. Did you live with your husband before?
I feel bad. Yes, I did. But
I
when I
did
was
too.
no,
I
but when
did
I was
too.
younger,
Uh-huh.
that was a thing where I was like, no, I won't.
But it's kind
Because
of like you just need to know what you're getting into. It's a
yeah,
big decision to
it
get
kind of
married.
just worked out like in a way that just to really
Yeah.
get to know the person better. And of course, you never truly until you really like it's some years that you're with this person, but
Yeah.
it's helpful to know like their habits. Are they messy? Are they
Yeah.
just cleaning up every time you come over? Or are they
Right.
is that going to bother you
Totally.
if you're clean? Like
Yeah.
little
Do
things like
like
that that add
do
up.
life well together. And
Yes.
like they had
Finances.
almost been they've been like kind of living together because
Yeah.
like they would stay at her place all the time. And
Yeah.
whenever they go on trips, they would stay in the same room. But it's like it's almost just keeping her at arm's length. I feel it's the
Hmm.
commitment
Yeah.
was never there. It was never there.
It was
The
commitment, but
effort, I don't know.
not for marriage. I think
Yeah.
commitment, but not for marriage. Like he was always, it sounds like he was always just kind of like, I don't know. I
Yes,
don't know.
exactly.
I
I
want
need more
to. I
time.
love her, but I don't know. I don't know. And the
Yeah.
way it sounds like he didn't really even always listen to her. Like she said, one of the things
Hmm.
she said during the interview is that she's the type of
Yes.
person that when she's going through something, she doesn't want to be left alone. She wants
Yes.
the comfort. She wants that
That
person to
was
be
so
there.
hard to
And
hear.
he would
Yeah.
leave her alone all the time. And I think that's just also communication and love languages. It's all these different things that we know that
Yes.
just weren't matching up. And that's tough. It happens in relationships. I
Yeah.
don't think that he's a horrible person. He's just not her person. And
And
he
yeah.
just does not, like I said, I feel like he could have used his words better whenever he was talking to her. Because, especially also with women, guys, you have to be very, like, you have to be very intentional with what you say
Yeah.
because most women, we're, even if we're not purposefully like sitting there like, what's he saying? In our minds and how we work, we are
Yeah.
dissecting what you're
Yeah.
saying. You're like,
And when you're not saying it, we fill
yes,
in the blank real
yes,
good.
that's who we are. So you've got to
Yeah.
do better and try your best. And that's going to be any woman he's with. Try your best to be more empathetic and kind of put yourself in that person's shoes and be like, would I want to hear something like, you don't have the qualities I'm looking for like in like my wife or my
Yeah.
husband?
Or even
Seriously?
just like what you mentioned earlier, where it's like, how does she like to be comforted? You
Hmm.
think after 4 years, he would know that.
Get
And
it.
like, yeah, like that was such like an like I'm glad Alex Cooper caught that because she said something like, "Oh, he gave me my space." And she's like, "Oh, you're the kind of person who needs space?" She's like, "No, actually, I want to be with the person." And it's like
Yes.
to me, I was like, "Wow, he's been with you 4 years and he is not choosing to like make up with you in the way that you feel best. Like he's giving you space you don't want. It's because he wants space." And
Yes.
then she said about how like every time they would argue, she would end up apologizing to him, even if like he was in the wrong. And like, I truly believe that that's like a form of gaslighting. Like
Yeah.
that's not okay.
Yeah.
They needed probably couples
Yeah.
therapy or something. Who knows if they went through it? Again,
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent for every bachelor couple to go to couples
Yeah.
therapy.
And to keep going.
Um, and it's like 4 years of that is a long time
Hmm.
without growth in the relationship, you know? Even if it was growing, you know, even if you are engaged, like you still, that's just sad to hear that that was
Yeah.
kind of like the reaction that he
Yeah.
had.
Yeah. Yeah, I really feel as though, part of this too, and the fact that this has become such a thing as well in public is obviously they met on The Bachelor, so they
Mhm.
are forever a part of Bachelor Nation and publicity like will follow them even as
Yeah.
years go on. But also the fact that, like we mentioned before, he posted on Instagram about their breakup using God in his post, did not tell her he was doing that. Did it the same day he broke up with her, literally within what, a couple hours before she
Yeah.
gets on the
Like it
plane.
was
She
like
gets all these
crafted
phone
already.
calls. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crafted. And she's like, what? And then how'd you know? And then she sees the post, and then boom, no Wi Fi
No
on the
Wi-Fi on
plane
the
for 12
plane.
hours.
Can you imagine? Oh my
No,
God. I would be so depressed if I were her. I hope she had first class or something
I
or
hope so.
economy.
I hope so.
Um,
Like, or
yeah,
just
dude,
like
that was really hard to hear too. Cause
messed
it's like
up.
I mean, people thought that he was hacked. People thought, I mean, who knows what happened, but like people were really alarmed by that. So like
Yes.
for her to barely be able to like say anything to her
Mhm.
closest friends and family for hours
Yeah.
and then to arrive and it was for like a baby shower. She was going
Yeah.
back to Georgia. And it's
Hmm.
like, can you imagine her going to that baby shower and just be like, I wouldn't go. I would not
I
have
don't think she
gone.
went. I think she said she didn't go
Yeah.
because
Okay.
there's
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
didn't hear the end of
questions.
this, but yeah,
There's gonna
that
be
would be
questions.
so
Oh my gosh, what
frustrating and like
happened?
awkward.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah. How are
no.
you in that?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I have jet lag and I'm depressed. Leave me
Yes.
alone. Congrats on the baby.
Yay. Here's your gift. I
Really
was
though,
kidding.
congrats on your baby, whoever had the baby shower
Yes,
of
seriously
Rachel's
though.
friends.
Congratulations.
But
But
yeah, so like that was really, really sad to hear too.
yeah.
Ugh.
It was just so poorly executed. Didn't even, first of all, also breaking up with her before she got on a 12-hour flight. I wouldn't do that. I would have, if I was feeling a certain way and that was like the last straw, I would have waited. until we
Wait
were
till we
both
can see
back
each
in the
other.
US and
Yeah.
see each other. And then would have been like, I've been doing some thinking, and just
Yes.
part of that
100%.
was
That's
what
a
happened in
mature way
Tokyo.
too. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It
And
was
he
like
needs a little
almost like
space.
it was like almost like an impulse breakup where it's like,
Yes.
I'm
Like,
over
he can't do it
this.
anymore. I gotta break up with you. Like, it's
You're not the one.
like,
Bye. It's like,
what? Oh my gosh. Okay, see you later. Get on your plane. I have one more day in Tokyo. Let me just have fun and go around eating at places. Like, I don't
I
know.
know, right?
Like, what?
Ugh.
Come on, man. No. But
Yeah.
like I said, like, it just, that was awful. And also, the thing that stuck out to me from this interview was that she said he has called her every couple of days to check in on her. And I like the fact that it was pointed out that that's not, don't think that's healthy, because that is him still inserting himself in her life. And really,
Mhm.
at this point, especially after that type of breakup and the time they spent together, just no contact.
Yeah. I would just
No
totally cut him
contact.
out.
No contact.
You don't,
For your own
they've already done
self-preservation.
this a couple
Preservation.
times, gotten back together, whatever. Like, just know that it's over. Honestly, I feel like this was her healing going on this
Mhm.
podcast.
Part of
And I
it.
could be wrong. I don't know her, but like,
Hopefully part of it.
I feel like this is like the nail in the coffin for their
Yes.
relationship. Like,
Oh
there's
yeah.
no turning back
No.
to a man. And this man should not take her back after she did an almost 2 hour long podcast talking
Yeah.
about how he broke her heart.
Yes.
There's no turning back. So,
Yeah.
like,
We're done,
part of me's
guys.
like very glad that she did that
Hmm.
because I think that means the door is closed.
Yeah.
Man, she can do so much better. And not saying anything against him again,
Yeah.
but just like she
Just
needs to be with someone better
her.
for her.
Yes.
Yes. Like, please, I think you mentioned earlier, Arena, like, do the inner work. It's not just about the guy. You need to know your value. You need
Yes.
to know what you're looking for. You
Yes.
need to know what you'll accept.
Hmm.
And that's something that a 23, 24-year-old probably isn't doing.
It's
Not
hard.
seriously.
Yeah.
I feel like if you find someone at that age, it's like you're lucky. You're lucky, and that's great for you. But at 28 and up, you need to really focus.
Yes. Yes.
So I hope that she can do that, you know?
Yeah, I hope so. And I think she will. And this is such a learning experience for her, because she also mentioned that this was like her first real long-term relationship that she'd had
Mm-hmm.
before. So you know what? Like, she learned so much from this. Almost 4 years is
Yeah.
such a long time. And I think it's just going to prepare her more for the one that she's meant to be with, and it will just be such an
Yeah.
amazing thing when that happens. And
I
definitely
know.
look forward to her seeing her, like, obviously socials is
Yeah.
the only way we'll know, like, in the future who
Yeah.
she's with. But it just, it's sad, but also, if you want to get married and the person you're with still hasn't proposed to you, like she mentioned, and this is how I've always said it in my life too, if it's 4 years and they're not doing it, what are they waiting
Oh,
for?
yeah.
Because they know. They know. So if you want to
100%.
get married and you want to have, especially for a woman, if you want to have kids too, on top of that, and you're getting, and she's not getting up there, guys, but I'm saying, like, the older you get
Yeah.
as a woman, physically, biologically, you are cutting down on your time. So
Yeah. If you want kids.
if
Yeah.
you want kids, and just
But
in
like
your
she
life,
did.
you want to be with
She
someone. Yeah.
does.
Well, she's 28 though. She has time, guys.
Yeah, she
She has
does.
time. But like, just if you're not already engaged and you're not already planning at that point, and it's just a matter of, oh, we're waiting until this point for some reason, then, or we don't have the money, whatever it is, that's different. Because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, but
You have
you're
to
not
have an
even,
end point. You have to have a shared
yes,
goal, not
yes.
just I'll maybe I'll feel it. It's like, ugh.
No. If you don't feel it by then, you're not going to feel it.
If it's not an F yes, it's a
Yes,
no.
it's a no.
Yep. We've said
Yes.
that before, but we'll say
Yes.
it again.
And we'll say it again and again, guys, because
Yes.
it's true in life.
So true for
Anything you do,
anything. Anything you
yes.
want, you got
Find
to
a
be
balance.
fully into it.
Yes.
Now I'll ask you this, Arena.
Mhm.
Do you think she could be a good contender as the Bachelorette? Do you think they would do that?
I think they would consider it for sure. I think they
I
have
think so
already probably
too.
reached out to her and been like, "Hey,
I I feel
hey,
like
would you be
that
interested?"
maybe this podcast is laying the foundation. I don't know. I don't know if she would decide this soon. I mean, it's
Yeah.
been
Oh my
a
gosh.
week,
Yeah.
like two
Ugh.
weeks. It was
No.
this all has happened very fast.
So
I actually was shocked at how fast.
yes.
But
But
you know, if she is the bachelorette, I think people would really want to see her succeed,
they would.
you
They would.
know?
Because a lot of people are
So
behind
it
her
might
for
be a good
sure.
choice.
Well, it
She's
depends
beautiful.
though,
She's got a good
because
head on her shoulders.
and she's a little older, which not
Yeah.
old, guys. Remember, hear what I'm saying,
Yeah,
guys. I'm
20
saying
is a good
she's
age for
a little
this.
older.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's a great age to do this show as a woman. For a guy, a little different. Be in your 30s. But
Mhm.
for a woman, late 20s is good. But
Yeah,
we also have to keep in mind, I do believe they probably have already approached her about that, but I also feel like they have to figure out, so where does she fall in like our list of people? Because they have like a list of people that they're like, if it doesn't work out with someone from the previous season and we don't feel like we have a great person, this is who we're turning to type of thing. I'm sure it's like this whole thing. So I wonder where would she fit in then? Because it's
yeah,
like, what, like, yeah, where would she
yeah,
fit in? But I think that she distanced herself from The Bachelor, and so did he. So I don't
yeah.
know. But I
So maybe
bet
not.
you they already reached out to her. And
Yeah.
they're already like, hey, just keep us in mind. We want to see you find love. We love you.
Right. Yeah.
So we love you, Rachel. We would love to have you
I
on our show.
know. Good luck.
Feel the
Like,
desire.
I do really, I gotta say, she was so brave for this.
It was a
So
lot because she
brave.
broke up. Like you could hear her breaking up throughout
She was sad.
the
Yeah.
interview. A
How
hundred
could you not
percent.
be?
I did not watch it live, guys. I just listened to it after the
Hmm.
fact, and you could hear her voice break. And I don't know. I just I hope, like, I know it's going to turn out better, and this is a really hard time, of obviously, but then it's like what Alex said in Call Her Daddy. You're going to look back and be like, this is a good thing that this happened because it kind of
Totally.
felt like if he didn't break up with her, she would not have. I mean, maybe she would have, but at
Yeah.
what point would she have?
Ugh.
Because there's a better person for her out there, like you said, that's meant
Hmm.
for her and that will put her on a pedestal and hold her up
Yeah.
and hype her up and
Not
just
someone
do
that she
those
thinks
things.
she always has to prove herself to.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And then he'll find someone better for him who's
Yeah.
more, you know, will probably be like, no, I'm not gonna look for that restaurant. You look for your own restaurant.
Right.
Like, because like, come on.
Yeah.
So, so, it just eventually it'll make more sense. But it is sad. They've been together a long time. They were one of the longer lasting relationships in Bachelor Nation who,
Hmm.
so it's
Actually, we were
surprising.
totally counting them in our little tally of like successful streak of bachelor couples,
Two
but
relationships who especially the first one, the divorce from early, or was it late December? Was it December? Was it early January 2024 with Rachel Lindsay and
yeah,
Dr. Brian Abasolo? Uh, which I
yeah.
can't watch that season anymore, guys, because that was like the first season I watched in years. And I was like, oh my
Mm,
gosh, I love their love.
mm,
Anyway, so that was a major relationship that ended. And this is another major relationship that ended
yeah.
that were on the list for years for long lasting ones. So, but you know what? It's
Well,
life, guys, and that
yeah.
happens.
Cheers
So,
to them. I hope that they both find what they're looking for, and I hope she heals
yeah,
because she
she will.
truly is like a wonderful girl,
She
and I
seems
hope
like a
she's
good
just sees that
person.
in herself.
She really does seem like a genuinely good person, and
Yeah,
I do hope that I think, and she will. I'm gonna put it out there after me. Like she will. She will
she
get through
will.
this. She will figure some stuff out, and she will come across that one who will lift her up and be the amazing man that she deserves. and will make her feel like the queen that she should be.
Yeah.
So you got this, Rachel. But that's pretty much all we have,
Yeah,
guys. That was
that's
our
it.
little, we had to talk about it because it's been going on, like it's a major thing. And I mean, we had to talk about it. So we, here we are. And we'll see you next time on our
Yeah, we'll see you on
recap.
our normal recaps. But have a great
Yes.
weekend,
Yeah, have
guys.
a great week. Unless some breaking news comes out. No, okay. Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.